I'm sure you've heard the story. Rachel had a list. Rachel had a PDF document.
What was your win percentage on that?
I mean, I think I answered I was completely forthright. I told her everything she wanted to know. Like, I didn't hold anything back because, I know there's been instances I know in Bachelor Nation where, people don't talk about those things until after it airs, and then, on the tell-all or whatnot, then it comes to light, and that's a big problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited today to be speaking with royalty, winner of The Bachelor, one of the best seasons, Rachel Lindsay season, Dr. Bryan Abasolo. Hello, how are you?
What's going on, Dave? Big fan, man.
20 seconds in and I'm already stuck in a traffic jam here. Can we get by that? This is part of the controversy.
You got space on this side?
Look at that, teamwork already. So excited to have you here today. I want to jump right in to the conversation we had in our DMs where you said, hey, I know you might not like, what did you say?
Basically, I heard you make a comment one time. I don't know if you were driving from the chiropractor or somebody, sent you a message about a chiropractor, but I don't know. If I remember correctly, like you weren't a big fan, or you were like saying a joke.
Yeah, I got a joke.
Chiropractic
I got a joke that I get why chiropractors don't believe in medicine because medicine doesn't believe in chiropractors.
Oh, that's true. Some do. Not all of them.
And you know what's so funny? Right before we started filming, we just said everyone thinks one thing versus the other. There's no nuance left in the world.
Right.
But there is a lot of nuance with chiropractor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like, there's people that are good at what they do, like doctors, and then there's doctors that run pain shops in Florida. Like there's a little bit of
pill mills,
right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I grew up, I would take the Tylenols and ibuprofens and all those, medications just because I didn't really know, what was good for me. I would just follow whatever my parents, obviously, they were looking out for me. But as I grew into college and, I kind of started working out, started eating healthier, just that natural lifestyle naturally developed. And I actually met a chiropractor in the city where I was going to college in Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators. And, she was doing well. I shadowed her for, a few weeks. I loved the patient interaction. I loved the results that she was getting with the patients. So that's kind of like when my love for chiropractic grew right there. I love the fact that it was natural. No drugs, no surgery, no injections, none of that stuff. And, I'm not opposed to medicine. Like I know there's, there's life-saving drugs. There's regenerative medicine is a huge thing now where, it's more on the natural side. It works with your, things that your body produces itself, but at the same time, it doesn't have those side effects that those heavy drugs do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not anti-medicine myself. I went the last 15 years without health insurance. Poor actor. And the first thing I splurged on when I started making some money was getting health care. And I go to the doctor. Next thing you know, I'm on 3 different prescriptions. I'm on all these things. And like vitamin D, I'll go outside and get some.
Right, exactly. It's free.
I went on this one. I got a toe issue from baseball. I got a toe fungus. I'm not freaked out by it. I got like the athlete, whatever, you know what I mean?
Athlete's foot.
And they give me this thing and they go, all right, just don't go in the sun, don't drink alcohol, all these things. Be careful of your liver. And next thing you know, I'm getting super anxious. I got all these other issues. I'm not kidding. I go home to my family in Rhode Island a couple months ago. I take a little bit of cough medication, just like some like Dayquil, because we were going to a Red Sox game that day, and I was like, I had a little cough coming on. I got so sick, I immediately completely shit myself.
Oh, no.
I made it to the bathroom, but I went and I immediately was like the highest I've ever been, and I Google it. And
was it a combination?
It was a combination.
That's
but
the thing,
even without the combination, this thing was already doing all this crazy stuff. I Google it and someone goes, you know what, my husband, and I didn't go farther than this. They go, my husband got Parkinson's and died. A combination of things from this one anti-fungal. And I go,
yikes.
I'll find another way.
I'll live with the fungus.
Yeah.
It's like not that
I was like, that was
deal.
it. The anxiety and all that. I lived my whole life just being healthy. And again, I understand there's life-saving medicines and everything out there, but there's also the for-profit and,
We're over-medicated. Like I have a patient right now, sweet old lady. She's on like 8-9 medications. It's like, is that necessary? It's like 3 blood pressure meds, a diabetes. It's like, yeah. And then she's, there's no wonder why she doesn't feel good. I'm trying to do the best I can, like in a natural way. Obviously, I can't say, hey, stop taking those meds because that's not my call. Like, you know, follow doctor's orders, you know, whatever your primary says, but I'm trying to do my best to, you know, basically counteract, you know, all those side effects and just get her out of pain in a more natural way. It's just, you know, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I'm not anti-chiropractor.
You said you were going to one, right?
Well, I was.
You were, okay.
The guy was a kook. This guy was a kook. My wife texted me, I'm not kidding, 20 minutes ago, oh my gosh, I just fucked up my back so bad. Get Bryan over here. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start
House
bringing...
call.
Yeah, we're going home. No, but I had a crushed sacrum in college that only a chiropractor could fix after months of physical therapy.
Jeez,
and,
how'd that happen?
Squats, which is probably the number one cause, I would guess. I couldn't tie my shoes. I was, 20.
That's it's rough.
No one could get it cracked until, like, none of the physical therapists, nothing could fix it until a chiropractor manipulated it.
Right.
And the way I've been told with chiropractic, and let me know if I'm getting any of this wrong, it's like you get your tires rotated, but a lot of people don't get their body adjusted.
Right.
And get things
Your body's
fixed.
a fine, well-oiled machine. It's got to get a tune-up every now and then. You know what I mean? It's a high-performance vehicle.
Now they got these crack shops.
Right.
Which I think is what they're called, where they line you up and bump people's elbow to you. That is where I was a little concerned because my wife likes attention. She likes to know.
Right, yeah.
Talk a little bit, crack a little bit. Here we go.
Yeah, she wants that like concierge type service.
Yeah. And I'm that way too. We didn't get touched enough growing up. And so I'm like, I want Bryan's hands on me. By the way, which I did have to ask, what is the percentage of women that come into your shop now, knowing you're, they see you on the show and they're like, I think my neck's pinched a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Every time I mention that I'm a chiropractor, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? I have been having this neck issue or back issue. So they're always, coming up with that. But yeah, I would say 70-30. I would say
women to
men.
Okay.
Yeah, women and men.
I mean, let's be honest. Some chiropractor moves are pretty sexual. The one where you don't have to. I don't want to break any of your code of ethics. This is my opinion. You're on top. You're kind of moving them in a way.
Yeah, you got to make sure your hands are in the proper place. You got to educate the patient. You got to talk to them. Talk them through it. You don't know what the patient's thinking. If there's their first time, it could be I had a young girl. She was with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, is an influencer. I'll say that, and he brought her in and. She had never gotten adjusted before. She was super scared. And yeah, you just have to talk them through it and, kind of explain what you're doing, what the crack is, which is basically gas or air being released from the joint when I manipulate the spine. And, it sounds worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I did it, she actually kind of giggled. I actually posted it on social media, but she giggled. I was like, oh my God, it wasn't that bad. So
people react differently, right?
That's the reaction that I get from most people. Like, oh my God, I thought this was so much worse. Because at the same time, we put mics on.
Right.
Like for everybody out there, like obviously ASMR is a big thing now.
Yep.
And we want to enhance that sound of the adjustment. So yeah, we place some mic on it. So we want everybody to hear it and just that sound of relief. And yeah, that's pretty much all it is. I mean, it's not something that's gonna hurt. I mean, if somebody is very acute, let's say if they come in with a hot disc, low back issue that they're coming bent over, maybe I don't crank into them that day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe put them on some therapy to decrease the inflammation, get them standing upright again, and then kind of ease into the adjustment. So
what percentage of the manipulation, is that what it's called? A manipulation?
An adjustment, a manipulation, yeah.
What percentage of that is what you do versus like other things?
Well, it's kind of like my foundation, right? That's what I went to school for. That's what, chiropractors are known for. So you always want to keep the spine in line, right? You want to line everything up, whether it's their hips being off balance, kink in their neck. Sometimes people sleep wrong. I mean, there's tons of issues that people could come in with, but, aligning the spine, like there's a lot of things that go into somebody's pain. There could be the spine, misalignment, but there could also be muscles, right? The muscles are what attach to the spine and keep everything in line. So if the muscles are weak, you bending over to pick up a pencil, all of a sudden you feel a sharp pain. That could be the muscle stretching more than it should. And that could, throw your spine out of whack. So there's a lot of things that go into play. So I have adjustments, but then I do adjunctive therapy, things like deep tissue laser therapy, spinal decompression, machines that basically can do things that my hands can't, right? So combine them together, it's like the perfect protocol to address everything that's causing your pain.
These machines are taking over our jobs, Brian.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
They're out there. Just as a side, I mean, part of what you got to do for your business is promote it. And with me and stand up, I got to post stupid clips. And then so there is this like TikTok world of, like you said, the chiropractors posting those moments. You get great responses from the crowd. Half the time they're laughing and they look like they just had an orgasm. I mean, truthfully, you're just like, oh my God. Like, and I love dog chiropractor, which I don't know.
That is wild,
I don't know what that is, but the look in dogs' faces.
The dog is like, what just happened?
They're like, you just took me down.
Right.
But, you know, sometimes it's truly like the viral ones are like the girl in the, you know, comes in her yoga pants, that's what you would wear to go. Yeah. And then you gotta make that content.
You know what, it's funny, I have friends that send me those like, you know, viral clips or memes, and immediately I'm like, yep, would not do that. Too much liability. Because you know, they put their hands, like we were talking about, they put their hands in all kinds of places that I believe they shouldn't go, or at least it's not worth it to risk that. So
I was going to ask that because, you know, you got a TikTok video, you make, you know, you do everything ethically by the books, but then your wife, is she jealous? Is she like, oh, you had to, why did Samantha come in 3 times this week for a minute? Like,
no, she doesn't keep tabs on the visits. I mean, she'll, you know, she's supportive like any other wife, you know, she'll like the video or whatnot, but technically she does not like the cracking, believe it or not. Yeah, she doesn't.
Because I mean, that's one of the coolest things.
At least her neck she doesn't like. Yeah.
Well, that's what can be scary.
Right.
Now, are you ever afraid of a tear, of an arterial tear or whatever?
I mean, yeah, I know there's obviously a lot in the news. Sometimes, you know, whenever an event like that happens, I mean, it's very, very rare. I mean, you got a better chance of getting hit by lightning, pretty much. Right. There's a lot more. Not knocking MDs, but, you know, there's a reason why their malpractice insurance is, you know, super sky high. Ours is actually very low because the chances of any type of injury like that is very low. Has it ever happened before? Obviously, yes. But, you know, I think it all depends on, you know, the doctor, the technique, you know, the positioning of the neck.
Yeah.
I mean, there are positions that maybe you could put the patient's neck in that are more susceptible to potentially causing that. Not that it will, but you just want to have your technique on point, you know, your exams, because we run exams as well prior, like tests, just to see if they're susceptible to that type of an event.
No, and it's because like my best friend died of a stroke, but it wasn't a chiropractic related. I don't think they know what caused it, but he was only 30. So I just have this general fear of that out there. But, you know, like you said, so many doctors, and I wanted to get into, there's a difficult conversation between being body positive, but also being health conscious. And I made a video early on during the pandemic being like, we need a national diet. Now, I know the D word diet is scary to some people, but I was like, we are one of the most obese countries in the world, you need your immunity to be as strong as possible. My mom lost about 125 pounds over the pandemic.
It's changed her. How did you do it?
She went on like a holistic diet. She talks to like a Hindu lady every morning who's like her health coach. And my mom's my family's Catholic, but my mom's
I was raised also Catholic as well.
Yeah, and my stepdad's super Catholic, but my mom's more spiritual. So we were always raised kind of spiritually. She was always like, you need to visualize the base hit before my like Little League game. I'd be like, Mom, chill out. But the older I've got, the more I've been like, all right, my mom was onto something. And she's had her sort of like child of an alcoholic. So she was never an alcoholic, but we come from that family, and she's always been aware of that 12-step program thing. And just through talking out and knowing what her addiction was, she's regained control of her life. And I feel like so many doctors just want to tell you what to do to fix a problem short term, like a painkiller or whatever.
Put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
And how bad is that for people that it might not be as much of a news story as like a stroke, but it's important to have the conversation where like Western medicine isn't the only answer with so many different problems that are out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally feel where you're coming from. One more thing on like the strokes, but yeah, like people that, you know, women who go to like the hairdresser and like, you know how when they put their necks back in that thing that kind of covers their head or whatnot, like just that positioning, or, you know, shaving, or, you know, basically flexing your neck or extending your neck, backwards, that just that positioning, certain positioning, it doesn't even have to be an adjustment. You know, certain things like that could cause an event like that you were speaking of. So yeah, it's just, you just got to be careful. But speaking of, Western medicine, yeah, like we're a lot of doctors, they go to school and, they're taught, I know I'm going to probably get flack for this, but, they get taught pharmacology and they got no real education on like nutrition and how to live a healthy lifestyle. And, they just basically medicate you and, their answer for anything that ails you is a pill. So that's something that obviously needs to change. I mean, we are, I think 90%, I actually did a seminar yesterday, or I watched a webinar, and if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, guys, but I could go verify, but actually, you know what? I think it's in my phone.
Hold on.
I believe 90% of the opioid crisis is in the United States, in the world. The world.
Have you seen Dope Sick on Hulu?
I have not.
Oh, you gotta watch it. Michael
I'm sure
Keaton
it's accurate.
Won Best Actor for it. It's an absolutely fantastic and horrifying portrayal of pill mills, and it leads to. Literally, we live in Los Angeles. We see people on the street doing crack. I saw a guy searching for a vein in his arm with an iPhone cord, and you don't choose that life. That's because, in part, of a despair that exists, because you get addicted to these pain meds. That they told us flat out, this is not addictive, and they bought their way through the lobby, through the FDA or whatever the hell regulates it, and that's why I personally believe in medicine, but I don't necessarily believe in all doctors.
Right.
I have we had a doctor. My wife has Lyme disease, and we went to what was supposed to be one of the best doctors in LA. And he just starts Googling Lyme disease at the same computer.
What?
We just Googled it.
That's concerning.
He told us everything we already knew. She ended up going to a doctor in Washington, D.C. who cured, or put herself in a remission from Lyme disease, because you don't really cure it. And she went across the country to get help because nobody wanted to treat it. Everyone just wanted to do antibiotics, when in fact it's way more complicated.
Of course.
So much so that even mentioning it now, there'll be a Reddit thread being like, Dave believes his wife had Lyme disease, as if the bed she soaked herself through from her nighttime sweats, as if all these things weren't true.
Like she was making shit up.
And the thing that ended up helping her was some pharmaceutical stuff and some different types of, I don't know.
Diet changes,
but also I think it was peppermint. There was different essential oils,
oils,
Eastern medicine, and there was a whole concoction of things and a whole book full of different treatments to help her out.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely.
You got your facts there?
Yeah, U.S. consumes 90% of the world's opioids. The U.S. has the highest drug overdose rate in the world. In 2019, opioids are the leading cause of death of Americans under the age of 50. In 2019, there was 70,000 deaths. 2020, 93,000 deaths. 2021, 110,000 deaths. So it's only getting worse and worse. I mean, it's insane.
And they can afford, when there is a class action issue, they can afford to throw money at it, and it keeps murdering and just crushing it. It's not a political issue.
Right.
It's not liberals or it's in Ohio. It's in the Rust Belt. Exactly. It's here on the streets.
No, and check this out for our economy. I mean, the White House Council of Economic Advisors most recent analysis estimates that the opioid epidemic cost $696 billion in 2018 and more than $2.5 trillion between 2015 and 2018. This is approximately 20% of the total cost of our healthcare. So anyway, it's a huge problem.
The joke making fun of chiropractors is a lot shorter than the other issue, but I make fun of my wife nonstop. So the point is if there's a laugh I can find on stage, I'm going for it. But
well, yeah, she's more than welcome to come through, man. You guys are welcome.
We will. We for sure will. Now, when can you tell when there's a new client that's a Bachelor person? Like, was your client today a Bachelor person? Are they let me get a selfie?
There was one, no, the influencer, well, actually there was two influencers. One was a Bachelor person and one was more TikTok.
Okay.
He's big on Instagram, but more TikTok. Tons of followers, but yeah. I actually told him that I was going on your show.
Okay.
And he had a friend that's already been on here, so.
Oh, really?
I'll let that.
On Drive with Dave?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was Katie Thurston.
No.
Or Susie Evans?
No, it was a male.
Huh. Mario?
Nope.
Oh, jeez. Andrew. Okay, I'm out of guess. That might have been.
Well, that last one, he's in that group. Let's just say that.
Okay.
He's in that crew.
We're going to work our way through all of LA here. So I wanted to ask you a few questions. I saw this quote, "A little attitude will make that shit last." That was a quote I saw that you said about your relationship. Wow. What does that mean to you? A little attitude will make shit last. Do you have some spice in the relationship?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, you don't want, I don't know if men or women want a pushover for a partner. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've had relationships in the past where everything was great on paper, you know, it was super sweet, family was great, like everything checked off. You know, all the boxes were checked off, but there was just something missing. And I'm not, like, I don't want to say there has to be like a toxic thing, but, you know, just somebody that has an opinion, you know, can, you know, has thoughts and ideas.
Rachel has opinions?
Yeah, believe it or not, she does.
She's fantastic with her opinions.
Yeah, I mean, eloquent. I mean, you know, that lawyer.
I was gonna say, you married a lawyer. My wife should have been a lawyer because I have lost every case. I brought evidence. My witnesses, nothing. My wife
that gets thrown out.
She is so good, but yeah, a little friction makes a little fire.
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
the same way. I don't think I would want someone who just fawns over. It's just like, I don't know. And it's not like necessarily playing games. It's like it's okay if your personality types are different enough where you can like keep each other on your toes.
And by the way, that's a Drake line, by the way.
Oh, did I say Drake line?
Yeah, that's well, I got it from Drake.
Oh,
that's actually a line in one of his songs.
Oh, how
so,
funny.
I don't know. I found some truth to that.
So what do you find? Do you have something that you most that you not avoid, but like something that you guys butt heads on, whether it's pop culture or just you know, lifestyle things, food?
Yeah, she's a big textures person. So like she doesn't like anything, you know, mashed potatoes, avocado.
Does that have to do with not liking her neck cracked? Is it the same sort of?
I don't know. I actually, that's a good question. I don't think I don't think they're related, but there's just certain things like, for example, she does not eat cheese whatsoever. I love cheese. Yeah. I mean, how do you avoid that?
Oh,
right?
boy.
But she does it. I mean, she actually told me she used to eat cheese like by the cube, like by itself when she was a little girl, and then from one day to the next, it was like aversion to cheese.
My wife was doing the vegan cheese for a while. She gave in,
man, no.
But we'd get these vegan pizzas, and then I would bring my own cheese and like take it and move hers to the side. And I would break chopsticks up, you know, like the freezer pizza, and I would put the chopstick on like the demilitarized zone. Right. And be like, this is my side. You stay away.
Does she get upset that you use like real cheese?
No. And now she loves cheese, but I think she was just avoiding it. She was like pretty hardcore, just trying to avoid it for health reasons. But,
right.
But she's back. We got her back.
No, and listen, like that's one of the things. Like, you know, I've gotten a little flack on that as well. The whole, you know, dairy industry. Like a lot of these products, like I actually am a huge proponent of raw milk, like raw dairy in general. So
Really?
like raw milk, raw cheese, raw butter, because those things are untouched. They're unpasteurized. They're non-homogenized. Like they don't get stripped of any of the beneficial nutrients that you go to buy milk at the gas station, you're getting the worst quality milk. You know what I mean? It's something where, you know, if people were consuming the actual true most farm to table stuff, you know, they would benefit big time. But, you know, there's a huge stigma about raw milk and, you know, getting people sick or whatnot. But
it's just like
the ones that have like the dairy versions, in my opinion, now other people out there might think differently, they will say this is hogwash, but
yeah, we're gonna have big processed dairy against us, big pharma. But it is big corporations with their processing of food is killing people in a different way. I mean, I'm right now kind of going keto because I'm trying to lose some weight. We're going to the Maldives, and I'm like, if I don't look like Bryan Abasolo by the time we take a photo in the Maldives, I don't want to be there.
Man, I'm a big proponent of keto. You know, I've done that diet many a times. I mean, I don't do it, you know, long term or for like extremely long stretches, but here and there. I mean, I'm not like carb averse. You know what I mean? I will delve into some white rice and sweet potatoes, and you know, I just try to stick to the healthier ones. I know, right? Yeah. You know, but I'll indulge every now and then. It's you know, I think it's, you know, balance is key in life.
In moderation, and I'm an addict.
Moderation, yeah.
I'm a sugar addict.
Right.
I find my joy in a pizza and eating a tub of ice cream. I'm just there isn't much moderation I can do. Yeah. It's just I've learned that about myself, that I don't drink much. It's just same. I want a whole pizza. We had a Little Caesars by our old place. I had to drive home in the other way to avoid the hot and ready. This thing was hot and ready. I mean,
ready to go, man.
But you've got not 6 but 8 abs. I counted. What the hell, man? Your body looks like I photoshopped it.
Hey, man.
You're 40,
I
43,
gotta
42,
thank my
40.
parents for that one,
How old
I
are you?
guess.
42?
I'm 43.
43?
Officially 43.
I saw it and I was like, goddamn. I've always used the excuse that, well, I'm older, you don't need abs, and then here you are, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. I mean, right now I'm like really strict with my diet. I mean, there'll be phases where I'll like slack off a little bit, and you know, sometimes I'll get to a point where it's like, all right, it's time to get serious, and you know, I'll stay on point in my workouts. The diet is on point. I'm a really big proponent of fasting, intermittent fasting. For the most part, I usually do like a 16-8. So fasting for 16, 8-hour eating window.
So what do you eat, like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
Yeah, or usually 12 to 8.
Okay.
So like I'll skip breakfast altogether.
I can do that
Maybe I'll
too
have
with
like
a
a
good
coffee or tea,
Yeah.
black coffee, tea with no sugar, no cream, none of that stuff. Just like a black coffee iced, right? That's all I'll have. It'll give me that little caffeine boost that I need to get going. It'll kill those hunger pangs until I get to noon, and that's when I have my first meal. Maybe have like 2 to 3 meals in between those 8 hours, and right at 8, cut it off.
Dude, isn't it crazy? We're from the same age where the food pyramid had like loaves of bread,
right? Yeah,
buckets of
completely
oatmeal.
backwards.
What
completely
the hell
backwards.
did they do? I always say I was a virgin for so long because
Right.
I was convinced I needed like 5 cups of milk a day for my bones. So there I am, chubby with zits. No,
Yeah.
it's like, what the hell were we thinking?
Man, I'm telling you, like I used to drink whole milk, but the bad kind, right? The pasteurized, all the processed stuff. And then I actually switched over to skim milk, and I used to have really bad acne.
Yeah.
Like bad acne, and I had this, it's Caris, I forgot the name of it. It has like some funky name, but it was like these like bumps on the back of my arms. Everybody thought like, oh, this guy's juicing. But it literally was just like this skin, and like they've literally gone completely away ever since I changed my diet.
We just didn't have
keto.
Access to this information when we were younger. Now they've got that, like,
I thought I was doing good.
They have like a face chart that says if you have acne here, it's hormonal. It's like,
Face
we
mapping,
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That sounds kooky to think that way, but then you've got these Eastern religions that are like, well, we could have told you that about 1,000 years ago.
Like, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, and of course they live to an older age. They're healthy. They're flexible, like that yoga lifestyle and everything. And we've just been in this like, get strong, don't be flexible, pop some ibuprofen, and then and I still take ibuprofen when I play baseball.
Listen, I mean, if your head is feels like it's about to explode, I mean, you got to take care of it in that moment. But yes, limit that, right?
I'm big on getting hydrated now. I got one of those giant buckets of water with the time on it. So like at what time of day I should be drinking it. And to be honest, Tom Brady got me into that because I'm
TB12.
I'm a New Englander. He's my dad.
He's your goat,
and
man.
he goes,
Always everybody's goat.
Yeah, he's just the best. But he's like, yeah, I drink a lot of water. And it's like, oh yeah, who would have thought? No, so my wife's been doing this like plyo fascia stuff because she's got is it not osteoporosis? What's the crooked back?
Scoliosis.
Yes, she's had it her whole life, and she's always like masked how to fix it. Like not mask it, but like she's always cheated her body to work with it. And now they're like...
She's overcompensating with certain muscles.
So now they're just digging
pain,
into it and breaking up everything.
Like all the scar tissue.
And they're like, you need to be drinking more water because this stuff's like... This, and as she has been, she's like felt it all kind of flow through.
Yeah, just a quick tip. I mean, I believe in this because I've actually felt the results. Add a little real salt to your water.
Okay.
It'll help your tissues absorb the water a little bit more.
You know what they have?
So just like a little pinch of real salt.
She's been using droplets of like sodium droplets that are that I think that's what it is. They gave her a special kind to put in her water because she was like cramping up and stuff.
You need those minerals to prevent from cramping. I'm a huge proponent of magnesium. Like I take a full serving of magnesium every single night before I go to bed. It's like a natural muscle relaxer. It helps you sleep better, deeper sleep. I mean, which is huge for everybody nowadays.
Yeah, oh my gosh. How many hours do you get?
No less than 6. Ideally, I want to get 7 to 8.
If I get less than 6, which
I'm struggling.
I cannot. The next day I go, let's get through the day. We're not going to try to do any stand-up writing. Like all those creative things are just done. And as they say, if you don't get a certain amount of hours, you crave more sweets and all these things. But like 6.5 for me is like a pretty good benchmark. If I can get more than that, I feel like $1 million the next day.
They've done studies on like students. They gave them 4 hours of sleep and 8 hours of sleep, and the next day they tested them, quizzed them, whatnot. The group that slept 8 hours retain like twice the information.
Yeah, and I was having this conversation yesterday with my wife. I was like, we don't know if we're gonna have kids or not, but I was like, the idea that I said, Tasha, what time did you have to get up in the morning? You know, you got to boys right here.
We all have that. Married couples, we all have that conversation.
Yeah, we're like, oh, we travel the world, we do all these things. We're like, do we need a kid? Like, and maybe we just, you know, whatever.
Right,
but the point is that we're like, I would, if it was possible to like petition my school to be like, why don't they start at 8:30? You know what I mean? Like, kids need sleep more than adults. You kind of need less as you get older, but you still have that benchmark that you learn.
I heard they wanted to like shorten the work week or like the school week to 4 days. You know, get that extra day in of rest.
It's like, maybe, but also maybe just not 7 a.m. start time every day.
So early,
Like, I get that that's so like parents can get off to school, but like, figure it out.
Yeah, and with this traffic in LA, I mean, good Lord, it's like...
I used to drive Uber, and we drove. Actually, that's how I hurt my neck. I got in an accident. Someone hit me and flipped my, or put my Jeep onto 2 wheels. Oof. And luckily I was able to get it on camera.
You were the only one in the car?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it hurt, big neck injury. Got a little lawsuit, but only enough to cover years of physical therapy.
Yeah.
But again, another example of the chiropractor being the thing that really helped there. But yeah, I used to drive kids to school on Uber. You know, they'd be like, you know, divorced parents. Like one kid, the parents will check me out, make sure I'm not a weirdo, and then put me in their car. It's like these like LA or in any town. I mean, that's
It's funny, like they joke about that. Like 30 years ago, it's like the concept of putting your kid or getting into a complete stranger's car was like nothing you'd ever think about. And now it's like commonplace.
Now I'm like, oh, we're driving Jeffrey again in the back seat. But yeah, it's the idea of sleep and all these things kind of tie together.
Yeah.
Now you did, and we'll wrap up in a few minutes here. You were living in Florida when you won Bachelorette. You guys got engaged. How long did you do long distance? Because Rachel was based in Texas and then LA?
Dallas, yeah. She was in Dallas. She was a working attorney at the time. She still, was with her firm at the time. So she wanted to get back right into it. I think she had trial like right shortly after the show. So she wanted to get back into it. Me personally, thankfully, I had taken a test back years ago when I graduated. There's 4 parts of the board. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, but 4 was only required if you wanted to practice in other states.
Okay.
So me and my fellow colleagues in school, we were like, you know what? Why don't we just take part 4? And in my head, I was like, I'm never leaving Florida. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. But luckily, we just convinced each other, like, hey, let's just do it. You never know. We ended up taking it. So my ability to pick up and leave Florida and just go anywhere in the country and apply for a license, pay a fee and, send in some information that they would ask for, and I was done. If I wouldn't have taken that test, I probably would have had to have gone back to school, taken that board in order to qualify for California, which would have been a disaster because I don't know about you, but I don't want to go back to school per se. I mean, granted, continuing education is very important. We have to complete those hours, 40 hours every 2 years for Florida and actually 24 hours for California as a chiropractor. But I wasn't in that mind frame. So luckily I had that board test passed and I was able to just transition. I went to Dallas. Obviously, we were committed to the relationship.
And just to cut in, at what point in the relationship does this conversation happen? Is this a fantasy suite? Like, hey, would you move here? Because those things are important to know.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the story. Rachel had a list. Rachel had a PDF document.
What was your win percentage on that?
I mean, I think I answered I was completely forthright. I told her everything she wanted to know. Like, I didn't hold anything back because, I know there's been instances I know in Bachelor Nation where, people don't talk about those things until after it airs and then, on the tell-all or whatnot, then it comes to light and that's a big problem. So I didn't want to be in that situation. I was like, look, this is the deal. I answered every single one of her questions that she had, my thoughts on things, family, moving to Dallas, quote unquote, and that was it. So I was open and ready, if she was to choose me at the end, that we were going to move forward and be together. Like, that was the main thing. So I had no problem moving to Dallas, stayed there from 2017 to 2019. We ended up moving to Miami because now she was able to sacrifice. She was working in Bristol at ESPN and she was able to travel around, so that she really didn't need to be.
Oh, she was working in Bristol, Connecticut?
Yeah. She was, she would fly in.
Right.
She would fly in, do some work, then fly back. But Miami kind of was like a good hub for that East Coast, Northeast trip. And, you know, she could go to Dallas, she could go to New York, Bristol, Connecticut. You know, so she didn't really need to be in Dallas. But
it's nomadic.
She had left her firm at that point.
Yeah, you're chasing the opportunities. And then,
Right.
of course, was Extra based in Los Angeles?
Extra was based in Los Angeles. So she took off October of 2020. So heart of the pandemic right there.
That's when my stuff took off.
Yeah. So
covering her.
Yeah, right.
Your wife's good interviewing skills.
Yeah.
Look, this Tesla was paid by your wife
There
knowing
you
how to
go.
interview.
Thanks, babe.
Tell her I said thank you.
I will. So yeah, so she, you know, the opportunity arose. I mean, that's pretty much her dream job. Miami just isn't the market for that. It's a big market, but it was going to be more local stuff, like the national
I've never been to
coverage
Miami.
media was in New York or LA.
Yeah,
Is what it is,
yeah. I've
right?
never been to Miami, but it sounds like a fun town. But it is a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is a lifestyle.
But you're from Florida, but your family's from Colombia.
Born and raised in Miami.
Okay.
Born and raised in Miami.
But what was your connection?
My parents are Colombian.
Okay, so
both
they're
Colombian.
but
Both born and raised. Both born and my dad came over. He moved to New York when he was like 13.
Where in Colombia?
It's a small coastal town called Barranquilla.
Barranquilla.
Yeah, so
Is
it's like
that
an
near
hour.
Cartagena?
It's like an hour and a half from Cartagena.
So we went on our first international trip to Colombia, and we had so much fun. I saw that you brought Rachel there. She must have loved the food.
Oh yeah,
That's a fun.
We had a blast.
Oh, my
It was
gosh.
actually one of my.
Although probably hot as hell.
Oh my god!
Humid.
Because we went like in August,
Yeah.
so it was bad. We went for a wedding. One of my cousins was getting married, and they just had this like full out lavish wedding. I mean, we were literally in like luxury huts, like up in the air, so we could see like the entire landscape of the ocean. There was like 4 flights of stairs leading up to
Amazing.
our bungalow or whatever you want to call it, but air conditioned, room service would come up, and you know, events, you know, there's beach parties, there was, you know, the rehearsal dinners, so it was like a week-long event. But yeah, she definitely got her fair share of Colombia.
We thought
Yeah.
about getting married there. We loved it so much.
Yeah.
And we're considering going back because once we got to Cartagena, we started off in Bogota, Medellin. So we went from the mountains and worked our way down, and we just loved it. We were like, oh, we didn't book enough days in Cartagena. I can't pronounce it as good as you can.
Yeah,
but,
maybe you want to like finish off in Cartagena if you want to kind of just like
and you were
wind down.
Barranquillo?
Barranquilla.
Barranquillo. That's
Oh,
the
so you almost got it.
That's the
You gotta roll the R's a little bit.
Barranquillo. No,
You
there's
gotta-
no rolling. I've tried. I've spent good
rolling,
money
no
trying to
rolling.
roll these R's. So then you moved to LA. How
LA.
has
That was 6 months later, by the way.
that was 6 months after that?
So April, like first couple days in April 2021 is when I arrived.
Did you know the long distance was only going to be short term? Like, is this the prize to finally make it where you can?
Yeah.
I mean, because long distance sucks.
Yeah, no, it definitely sucks. I mean, that was a tough 6 months. I'm not gonna lie, you know, but I was so wrapped up in my office in Miami, like I was trying to grow that.
And good to see that she's super busy.
Yeah,
and
she was
successful.
doing her thing.
If she
you
was
know.
unemployed, it'd be like, when are you gonna, FaceTime?
Right. So she was doing her thing out in LA. So I was like, yeah, go for sure, go do your thing. And what was tough for me was, I guess, just transitioning from Miami to LA, because I basically had to start from scratch. So I had to start closing down my practice like in like the beginning of the year. So like January 1st, I had to stop marketing, because the way my practice works is I'm dealing with like chronic pain. You know, let's say you get in a car accident, you got herniated discs in your neck. Like that's not a quick fix. Like you're gonna have to come in for a protocol that I set up specifically to handle that type of situation, and it could be a 10-week protocol. So I couldn't be signing people up in February
So
knowing
you're
that I'm leaving in March.
Petering out.
Right, so I kind of had to shut down marketing, which obviously hurt my bottom line. So no new patients, no new money was coming in. Kind of just had to finish out the people that I owed their therapy, and then close that down, flew here.
And how you been
And
busy?
it actually took me a while to find this place.
This is right near the pain specialist I had to go to.
Oh, really?
When I was in my just to prove that I actually was injured, because at first the X-rays didn't see it, then the MRIs did, and it was like,
All right, you gotta go to different
You got
doctors
just to,
to-
not to, and the guy couldn't even help me. He just was for the lawsuit to prove.
build up the case,
And I was
as
like,
I like to call it.
and then
Yeah.
I was like, can we get it fixed now? Like, it was
Right,
such a slow
right.
process. I was like, I'd like to fix things, but this is like the medical capital of the West Coast, right? I mean, this is where
Yeah.
all this. We're Cedar Sinai. That's close by.
Yeah,
right?
it's right down the street. I mean, I'm right down the street from the Beverly Center, which is a huge mall. And yeah, this is like medical office space pretty much. There's a bunch of attorneys, doctors, physical therapists.
So if
name
we
it.
were to pitch you to any of our audience, what types of what, you know, how can you help people if they've got chronic issues or not sleeping? Like what's...
So I can pretty much treat any part of the body. So I do necks and backs for the most part, but I can do shoulders, elbows, knees, like any extremity pain, chronic issues. That's my specialty. I got, you know, all the latest and greatest gadgets to address the inflammatory process, you know, help regenerate and repair the tissue. Obviously, I can adjust you.
And you're gonna get Tasha and I in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck us up.
And I also got, you know, being in LA, you know, everybody's health conscious and, you know, looking to look their best and feel their best. So I actually got into weight loss and body contouring. Okay. So I also do that. That's kind of just opened up a whole nother stream of revenue for me.
What's body contouring?
Basically, it's called a Zerona Z6 lipo laser. So it's a non-invasive.
Oh, is that what Katie Bigger just posted? It was like on the outside, but they target parts of your body to remove the fat.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool concept. It's been studied. It's FDA cleared. You know, in just a few sessions, what happens is the laser, you put it over wherever you want to contour. So let's say you wanted to, you know, get your abs toned, you know, before a big trip or whatnot, you were going to the beach. We place the diodes of the laser maybe like 5 to 6 inches away from the skin. It does its thing. The laser penetrates deep down to the cellular level. Think of your fat cells like a grape. Penetrates the grape, makes a pore in the grape, pulls out all the fatty material. The grape now shrinks to a raisin. So your fat cells shrink.
That's like the adipose cell, right?
Right.
That's
so
like
you're the fat cell. Yeah. Exactly. So what happens is I'm
trying to sound smart. I don't know.
The grape. That's a great term. That's a proper term.
I'm just throwing terms out.
So the grape shrinks to a raisin, and that's what gives you that slimming effect. But now what happens to all the fatty material out in the circulation? That gets withdrawn through your lymphatic system. Oh. So anything that's going to help.
So do you need a lymphatic massage then?
That could help. So I recommend. I was like, hey, I mean, if you could afford to get a few lymphatic massages, that'd be great, but I have other things that help enhance the lymph, like I put them on a vibration plate. It vibrates their entire body. There's like an actual
Those are the ones you stand on and it vibrates?
Yeah, so there's an actual setting for lymph drainage. So I set it up there, and it's not that intense, but it helps just get things moving. Bouncing on a trampoline, like one of those mini trampolines, like bounding, it's called.
That just shakes it out?
Yeah, you could just bounce.
Because I get that when I pitch, because I play in this adult men's league, and I'll get like a heavy arm, and I know that it's fluids. Right. So some of the ways, just by running and things like that, just kind of shake it through. So
cardio, sweating, drinking lots of water. So there's like little protocols that we put in with the laser. It's like, hey, don't just do the laser and then go eat McDonald's after this. You know what I mean? It's not gonna. I can't guarantee anything at that point. You know
the cells will attract more fat.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just want to make sure that they get the results that they need. So you know, doing little things like that. You know,
she's gonna have you on speed dial.
Yeah. No. So that's one. Then I do run a very successful weight loss program. Men lose about 30 pounds on average, and women lose about 23. And then I have the Emslim device, which is if you want to sculpt and tone your abs, burn fat. It basically is like a workout for your abs or your glutes, thighs, arms without you going to the gym.
Dude, well, your Instagram is a good promo. God damn. I looked at that and dropped think about it.
I can't, you know, I can't be otherwise and then pitch that type of stuff. So, you know, I got to try to live it how I see it and talk it.
Well, dude, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the conversation. Pleasure. And, you know, I can't wait to come in there with Tasha and see what you got.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Love to have you guys. And follow this guy on,
Don't follow me. They already know me. I'm a chump. Follow this guy for his abs.
No, I want to tell you, man, it's funny because you were, you know, obviously when I was more involved with Bachelor Nation, when it came to the podcast, talking it out, you know, I would always reference your videos for, you know, all the behind the scenes info. I mean, you do a great job, man. You've built
likewise, you guys,
great following.
You guys had the two best voices in Bachelor Nation. Both technically, you could each be a voiceover artist. Like you guys have great technical voices, but also you had great conversations. So no thought of jumping back into the Bachelor world?
Not really, man. I mean, obviously the podcast was something different. It was something that I could do on the side. Everything was on Zoom, you know, because of, you know, how strict everything was in LA. So it was very convenient for me just to do it from the office. So I went ahead and did that. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I got a significant other that is trying to get out of that world.
Yeah.
So it's a situation
and
where
she's earned every opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so good at what she does.
Yeah,
we watch and we go, gosh, man, like it's a personality type. It's her legal knowledge and ability to ask questions that are smart and all that. So you guys must be fun at the dinner table. But
I always was a fan. Like I was a fan of the show. Like I used to watch it with my ex-girlfriends and just watch the show and like I was laughing at the guy that I became. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, look at this guy. He's going home. Like, I'm sure you do with your wife, like the commentary.
Oh yeah.
The comedy
I wouldn't
session.
do well. They'd edit me horribly. Jokes would fall flat. I'd be
right. It's like, oh wait, now this is what it's like to be on the other side. So
the one question before you go here is, was it tough that the audience was rooting, and not everybody, but some audience was rooting for the other guy? Because we saw after the final rose, the other guy was kind of a douche. They fought. It wasn't meant to be. But you guys have clearly beat the odds. Yeah. So but in that time, I as a people pleaser, I would be crushed to be like, no, I like her more. But was that a tough to experience? Fan reaction?
It was tough. I guess nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes and the type of. You see what plays out on the screen, but you don't really know the depth of our relationship when you're there, when you're in it. So I honestly, I was never focused on anything else that was happening, while I was on the show. Like I was just like a horse with blinders on. Like I was totally locked in and dialed in, and I knew other guys, like they saw me as like the threat, and at that point I feel like I kind of had the upper hand.
But usually the threat is the one that everyone comes after. But you must have been really likable to the other guys because you were essentially a non-controversial guy who just
No, I didn't cause any drama. I got some pretty good advice prior to going on the show. A buddy of mine, he was just like, look, man, just focus on her. Don't start any drama and don't talk behind people's backs.
There you go.
Because that'll come around to get you and karma. And I was like, you know what? I followed that to a T, and I just tried to stay out of the drama with the whole, when stuff happened on season 13, I was like,
coffee break,
completely, and I flew under the radar. I feel like when I brought back that first impression rose, like, of course, everybody was sizing me up, but I just kept my mouth shut, kept it going.
There it is.
And I didn't really gloat. I know people make the mistake of like, thinking their shit doesn't stink after one date or whatnot, and then they get cocky.
Normally, if you're with your boys who aren't competing for the same woman, you'd be all giddy and excited, like, oh my gosh, yeah. But on this show, you gotta like have a little poker face and not rub it in and do your thing.
No, for sure.
Well, congrats on all that, man, and thanks again for doing the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure.